going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Hit the like button if you haven't already, comment and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops through your drops. Appreciate you coming back. Share this out, do all the good stuff. Another Roster Bubble Series video for you guys today. And we're talking about Lawrence Cager. But first, if you've never been to these types of videos before, I talk about a player that's on the Roster Bubble. I talk about the background of that player, their competition. I also go into how they can win a spot on the roster, how they can lose a spot on the roster, and a projection at the end. So, as mentioned, today we're talking about Lawrence Cager, the former Jet and the former Cleveland Brown. So, some background on Lawrence Cager. He initially was a wide receiver, was with Miami, not the Dolphins, but Miami, Florida University. Then switched over to Georgia in 2019, was an undrafted free agent in 2020. Spent some time with the New York Jets, specifically 2 games. 2021, he spent with the Browns, spent 1 game with them. Then went over to the Jets for a game, even started a game for the Jets, and then switched over to the Giants where he had his best receiving year. 13 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown. His first NFL touchdown with the New York Football Giants. And both of his NFL touchdowns are with the Giants. So he was in the mix with all the tight ends, Nick Van Nett, Tanner Hudson, when Bellinger was going down and the Giants really didn't have any backups. Cager was called on, Van Nett was called on, those guys were called on. And, obviously the conversion to tight end, this, that, and the third. And 2023 comes and, he makes the roster, 11 games, 4 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. And he was just mainly a backup for the New York Football Giants. As far as special teams goes, he played 50% of snaps on specials, 41% for the Jets the year prior in the one game they played, or the one game he played, I should say, and a little bit for the Giants in 2022. So, what is Cager? Well, he's a converted wide receiver to tight end, and more as I can't say Darren Waller type threat, but more of a receiving threat than he is a blocking threat. He is a bit of a thinner guy. He sits at 220. And again, more of a pass catching tight end. Competition, Tyree Jackson, Jack Stoll, and Chris Manhertz. Tyree Jackson converted quarterback to tight end. Jack Stoll tight end, Chris Manhertz tight end. Both Stoll and Manhertz, they are guys that are primarily run blockers, not pass catchers. Tyree Jackson, pass catcher, and he's also a special teamer. Lawrence Cager, semi-special teamer, and most likely pass catcher. How can he win? Health is obviously there. I say that every time for every player. Special teams, I think he's going to need to up his snaps on special teams because, they could decide whether Stoll or Manhertz makes the roster based on identity, right? Do they want another pass-catching tight end? Do they want another run-blocking tight end primarily, or in that dominant field? That's going to be up to them. But I think specials is going to be very interesting with this new scheme from Michael Gabriel. See how that goes. But I think he's going to have to up his special teams play, whether that's being a protector on a punt, trying to block a punt, or being on the kickoff team, whether it's on the return side or the kickoff side. I think he's got some speed, which could be an asset, whether it's, a gunner or personal protector, this, that, and the third. Again, but I think he's going to have to show off a little bit more of run blocking. He's not great in that field by any stretch of imagination. He is not great. Nonetheless, I think that's his X factor to make the roster, and I know it's a little impossible for him. He's got to show that he's a good pass catcher. He can't have drops, can't have fumbles, but as far as run blocking goes, he's got to get better in that field. He's got to get better because you do have, 2 solid blockers in Bellinger and Theo Johnson. But if one of those guys goes out and you are forced to go with Lawrence Cager, whatever the scenario may be, and he's forced to run block, that's a liability. So he's going to need to get better there. Now, again, he's not primarily used as a run blocker, as a tight end. He's probably not going to be that way, whether it's team 1 or whatever, so on and so forth. Probably going to be team 2 or team 3, maybe even team 4 blocking tight end. But he's not going to be facing the ones. If you face the 2s, probably the 3s, do your best at run blocking and really improving that field. And I think it would really help him, if I'm being honest, to put on some weight. But, whether the Giants tell him to do that, I don't know. That's none of my business. How can he lose? Injuries, lack of special teams. I think, again, special teams is going to play a big part in a lot of guys making this roster, and Lawrence Cager happens to be one of them. Drops limits in the passing game. If he's not targeted, or if he, again, drops some passes, or there's a fumble, or this, that, and the third, he's not getting open, separation is an issue. Even with him playing, in the slot against more vulnerable corners, that's a problem. Or going up against tight ends. If he's not getting separation there, that's a problem, especially as a former wide receiver. You got to think like one. And then lack of run blocking skill set. Again, that would hurt him. And I get it. You have Stoll and Manhurts basically on top of you with Tyree Jackson below you. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to run blocking, especially with this team. And again, I know they probably don't want to do a ton of run blocking or a ton of running this year with Devin Singletary. He's not going to be a bell cow, but you want to have that asset just in case something happens. But I have him getting cut, unfortunately. I think he's definitely a practice squad candidate, but I just don't see enough of the run blocking kicking in for him. I see Chris Manhurts and Jack Stoll getting those roles above him. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or drops. Appreciate coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.